Narcissistic neighbors. Welcome to today's topic, ladies and gentlemen. We will deal with a hero question in the community section recently and a contribution by the user Andrea Tangler, who asked how to deal with narcissistic neighbors. So, before we go into detail, I'll just want to let you know that at the end there will be a bonus tip that will not only convey a very important mindset for you to deal with narcissistic neighbors, but with toxic and non-toxic people in basically each and every situation in your life that you might encounter. So I will read this to you. I will translate. You will find it briefly on screen. You can pause it if you want to read German. Otherwise, I'll just read it and translate it. Narcissistic neighbors with whom no contact is not possible. My neighbor, a woman apparently, lives right across from me and does not cease to engage in conversation with me. This is so emotional because it is the very topic of my mother, or with my mother. Thank you. So that said, ladies and gentlemen, the basic premise for today is threefold. You have a toxic narcissistic person in your immediate vicinity. No contact is not a possibility, and you will be talked to and engaged in conversation on a more or less regular basis. Brief question now that I think of it. After you've watched this video, how will you spend your free time? Curious question, right? And who of you just felt prompted to answer that question? The answer to that question, completely unrelated to this topic today, is none of my concern. I do not have the right to know anything about how you spend your free time after you watch this video. And this is how toxic people try to work, by pushing you into the biological response of answering a question. Because if it remains unanswered, that would mean disharmony in a social setting. And that's what they are playing with. So I hope I brought some of you out of that automatic response, or responding response, if you will, by illustrating how our triggers work and how they can be used against you. So this, in the following, is what you can do. 4 points: escalating in effectiveness and becoming increasingly drastic, if you will, according to my impression. So number 1, how you can react towards a narcissistic toxic neighbor that tries to engage you in conversation. Number 1, give short answers. Yeah, yes, okay, no, that's interesting. I didn't know that. And you continue doing what you're doing. Either keep on walking, keep on working on whatever you're working, or both. Short answers. Number 2, ladies and gentlemen, setting soft boundaries. That is very sweet of you, but as you can see, I'm really busy right now. I'm sorry, but I gotta run. I really don't have time for this right now. Have a nice day. Soft boundaries. Also with facial expression, body language. Number 3, hard boundaries. Establishing hard boundaries. I don't have time right now. No, thank you. I'm not interested. Can't you see I'm busy? And if you want to verbally push even more after one of these phrases or related phrases, when they're confused about the severity of your verbal pushback, you can add if it's the 138th time that they're trying to engage you in conversation, in toxic conversation that is, you can add something along the lines of nod or look stupid, if you understand. Number 4, ignore. This is the one that takes the most practice, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, you are being talked to in this moment. Yes, you are locked in eye contact. And you give no answer. You maintain eye contact. You keep on doing what you're doing until you choose to not hold eye contact anymore. And you have your response trigger, your need to answer whatever question they've put across your face right now. You keep your response trigger dormant and under control. You owe them nothing, the same way as you didn't owe me an answer when I asked you the question how you spend your free time after watching this video. None of other people's concerns. This will be very odd for you at first, but as General Hummel, played by Ed Harris in the movie The Rock in the late 90s, so simply put, it's just a matter of practice. So before we come to the bonus tip, ladies and gentlemen, let's come to the conclusion. You will either, with those 4 steps, however you want to integrate them in your reaction portfolio. If you're using this, not using that, or selectively choosing the one over the other, on an individual basis with whoever you choose to, however you choose to, you will either make yourself very boring for someone else, or you will make yourself very unpleasant for someone else. Especially with things like the short answers or the soft boundaries. You become very boring. We're going into grey rock strategy territory. Perfectly fine, very effective. It is fine to be boring to these people. They will look for better narcissistic supply elsewhere. Somebody else's problem and somebody else's life lesson. If you choose to become unpleasant by setting harsh boundaries, strong boundaries, by ignoring them while looking at them, you become the bad neighbor. And this is fine, ladies and gentlemen. This can be a joy. Why shouldn't it be you who's the unpleasant one living here? It is very effective, and if you want to see how effective it is, there's a link to a video right up there, how I dealt with one of the most toxic female neighbors I've ever had in my life, and how I dismantled whatever she brought forth. So this next tip within the conclusion of the video, before we come to the bonus tip, ladies, especially for you, it will be more difficult than for men, because on trait agreeableness you are higher than men on average when it comes to the analysis of the big 5. To actively choose to react in a way that is unpleasant to the person that talked to you, the toxic person that talked to you. This will be more difficult for you, but it is also manageable, and it works miracles. I can highly recommend you actively choosing to becoming unpleasant to a toxic person in your vicinity. So the bonus tip, ladies and gentlemen. We've, within the frame of Andrea's question, and thank you for the hero question at this stage, we've talked about the frame of how to deal with narcissistic neighbors. We will now take flight and look down toward this frame that we've talked about today, as well as each and every other frame there is when it comes to social interactions with toxic people and also non-toxic people, regardless of the setting, be it business or private. It is about a mindset that will help you in each and every way, and I consider it of vital and utmost importance. And this concept is called mental point of origin. It was coined by Rollo Tomassi, and it asks you to ask yourself the question, how does it affect me? How does it affect me? Coming back to Andrea and her experience with her narcissistic neighbor. How does it affect her if she's being sucked into another conversation, a toxic one, with criticism, shaming, questions whose answers are none of that other woman's concerns? Andrea might feel, how does it affect her? She might feel confused, irritated, manipulated, gaslit, and she might be irritated for a longer time than the conversation takes place. She might feel anger swell up. She might even forget parts of what she was about to do because her focus is now on the behavior of someone else. And you need to ask yourselves, ladies and gentlemen, how does it affect you? Do you want this? You have a proven record of their behavior towards you. Do you want this? And if the answer is no, then it is time for you to be a warrior in a garden, video up there, instead of a gardener in a war, and use whatever tools at your disposal to fight for your freedom, because peace is fought for. Peace is rarely given and granted freely. And it is never given and granted freely by narcissists. So fight for your own freedom, set the boundaries, and be your own hero, be your own heroine. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.